Welcome back to the MST Systems YouTube channel, Strongman fam. The Dragon back again. And, well, by the way, before I start, please subscribe, guys. I keep forgetting to tell you guys to subscribe, but please subscribe. Please drop a comment. It does help the channel. I'm trying to grow this. I'm trying to get strongman education out there to everybody because the strongman scene is so, there's just not much out there. There's not much good information out there. So I'm trying to plug as much good quality information out there as possible that I know can help people so that you don't make the same mistakes that I made, guys, because I made so many mistakes because of the strongman scene being the way it is, taking advice off bloody gym owners, gear pushers and all this stuff. You know, I don't want people to fall in the same boat as I got in when I was 18, 19 years old. I want to make sure that there's quality, accessible information out there. So subscribe, share it, tag your mates, call me a fucking dickhead in the comments, whatever. Today, guys, is going to be me answering your questions from Instagram. So just a little bit of background on this. I'm trying to get recently, going into next year, I'm trying to get a much better work-life balance. I'm trying to stay away from being 24/7 on my phone and working. I'm trying to get a better structure to my life because pretty much go 24/7, strongman, strongman, strongman. So I'm referring people that ask me questions in my DMs. Usually I'd be like answering DMs all fucking day, every day. I'm trying to refer people to a post on Instagram that I'm gonna make every now and again. And I'll make a video like this answering the questions in a little more detail. That way I don't have to repeat myself because oftentimes I answer the same question, you know, 3, 4, 5 times a month. So if I can put it on the YouTube, at least I can link people to it. I'm gonna go onto the threads. I'm just gonna start and go for the questions. Hopefully it doesn't take me too long to get through them all. But I'm gonna try and get through them all today. So, World's Strongest Joiner asks, have you ever suffered or helped anyone with comp anxiety? In training, I can do some good lifts and presses, and then in competition, it all goes to shit, and it's pretty embarrassing. This has got 5 likes as well, so I'm assuming this is something that other people wanted to ask. Well, what I'll say on this to start with is, you're not the only one in that boat. Literally, what you've got to understand is literally everybody gets anxiety. Anxiety it's not necessarily a bad thing. I think personally with anxiety, it gets a bit of a bad rap nowadays because everybody's so open about mental health, but anxiety is meant to be there in certain situations. And I don't think I know anybody that goes into a competition and isn't anxious like a week out or so, or maybe the training's not going so well up to a competition and they get a little nervous and they're thinking about pulling out. The number one reason that people will pull out of competitions is anxiety. They will go online and say they tweaked the knee, they did this, they did that. If you're Paul Savage, he's come out of all, if you're on something, you'll know this, he comes out of all kinds of excuses to not do comps. But it's just anxiety. People get nervous, people start picturing what's gonna happen. They think, like you said here as well, in comps it goes to shit and it's pretty embarrassing. For starters, nothing's really embarrassing in competition. You know, even if you drop a log on your head, it's not embarrassing. It's just kind of like, you know, it's a good video, isn't it? So I think the first thing you got to do, Mr. World's Strongest Joiner, is you got to accept that the anxiety is going to come, the nerves are going to come, and you need to get more comfortable in the environment. So you need to, for example, here's an example, right? I never sleep the night before a competition. Never sleep. I don't know why, just too nervous. I'm thinking about the competition, I'm visualizing events, visualizing my squat, whatever it is. My mind's just... Now, my first couple of competitions, I used to, on competition day, be like, oh my God, I've not slept. I need to sleep. You need to sleep for strength. Let me tell you something. You don't need to sleep for fucking strength, for starters. That's one thing. So if you don't sleep the night before a competition, you're gonna be totally fine. And all the things that you do, like your specific scenario, maybe it's that you can't keep food down, something like that. Maybe you can't eat the day before, maybe you can't eat in the morning, whatever it is. You need to just accept that this situation, this scenario is gonna happen every time you compete. So plan for it, like figure out what you can eat, figure out a routine that you do before bed to maybe calm you down. That's something that I started doing. I basically tried to disconnect from the competition the night before. So I basically just watch stuff or read something that's completely unrelated to competing and almost tried to switch off from it. Now these things won't come easy because it's not just like an overnight fix. And the problem with competitions is, as much as you pretend to replicate them, you can't. So the only time you're going to get practice is when you compete. So another fix for this that I would say is compete more often. A lot of people put too much pressure on competitions, whereas if you just entered a competition every 2 weeks for the next 4 months, you'd be able to get like 8 competitions done and get so much practice of the competition build up, the deload, the night in a hotel, you know, competing on different kit, competing in different places. And you're going to get loads of practice in it. And each competition, you're going to learn something. You're going to be like, right, I did this night, I didn't feel too good, I ate this, I ate that. You know, maybe you can't keep solid food down. Maybe you need to make some shakes. Maybe you need to bring certain meals or, you know, high calorie foods like flapjacks because you can't eat a big meal or whatever. Whatever it is that the anxiety is affecting you on. If it's actually on competition day, the anxiety is affecting you. So if it's not the build up to the competition, if it's the actual performing in the competition that throws you off, if you get nervous, if your heart rate goes up, if you keep fluffing stuff up, then there's two things you can do. The experience one is, you know, probably the most sensible bet, but you could take a propranolol. You could take 10 to 40 milligrams of propranolol before the competition. And if you look into it, technically speaking, it will lower your nervous system. It will downregulate it. In theory, it should affect your strength, but in practical application, it has zero effect on your strength. Trust me, I've done it myself. So I would say if you genuinely can't control it, if it's out of control and you've tried all these things that I've suggested, then there are some, you know, pharmaceutical interventions that you can make to control it acutely. I wouldn't be taking that drug you know, just for training sessions or whatever, but for competition day, for performance anxiety, then you could definitely take a beta blocker to help. And a propranolol only lasts a couple of hours in your body, so, you know, by the time you finish the competition, it's going to be wearing off and you'll be able to get back to your normal self afterwards. So that would be my two suggestions. Oh, final one. If you think it is something mindset related, drop Curtis a message who works for MST. Curtis Cusimano. He's studying this at university. I'm sure he'd be interested in speaking to you and seeing if he can do any kind of mindset wizardry to help you. But that isn't really my field. I can't really speak on that. Anyway, went a bit long on that one, guys, but hopefully that helps someone. The Don always giving back. Trying, mate. Any cues or tips or drills to work on the vertical dip with the log? It's something I struggle with, always looking for tips and ideas. I point my toes out, have a slightly wider stance. It's something I played with recently. It does seem to feel better. I just don't feel quite as powerful as when I'm narrow. Hoping that will come in more practice. Well, I'll tell you what, Mr. CP Strength, let me watch a video because hopefully you've got a video. Oh, there's a log video right here, so I'll watch this log video. So good clean. This looks okay. So Connie, you've got quite good ankle mobility, but one of the most underrated assets to have to be really good at a log push press is the mobility of your ankle. I would say that for you, if I was you, okay, and I wanted a narrower stance, then you need to get more dorsiflexion in the ankle. I would be working on attaining a deeper range of motion on my dorsiflexion for the ankle. I would do this by implementing isometrics and slow eccentrics on something like a front foot elevated split squat. I would also do barefoot front squats with eccentrics, 10 to 15 sets of 3 at maybe like 60 to 80 kilo. Low doesn't really need to be much of a focus. I would set the safety pins to the point where I'd be dipping barefoot, by the way, barefoot, dipping with the vertical torso in the front squat position. I'd probably just use straps to mimic log. As you come down, I would set the safety pin so that as you start to hinge, you just tap the safety pin. And then what I would do is over a few weeks, I would slowly lower the safety pin as my mobility increased. To get the most bang for your buck when you're increasing your dorsiflexion, your ankle, you want to do something every single day that you train. So if you train 4 days a week, do something every day. So front foot elevated split squats with slow eccentrics, day 1, then you could do your front squats barefoot, day 2, then you could do something like an isometric, so you could just do a raised heel goblet squat where you're holding it in the bottom position for, you know, 60 seconds, 45 seconds, and focusing on pushing the knee over the toe. Basically, the further you can track that knee over the toe, you know, the better leg drive you're going to attain with a vertical torso. Obviously, as soon as you hit that full, basically, if you're not pushing your knees out, if you don't want your knees to go out and your hip back, then your knee's got to track forward. So if you want a narrow stance feet facing forward, that knee has to track further. So yeah, I'd just be implementing some strategies like that, and you can really notice a difference over a couple of weeks. I would also make sure you did something like that prior to the log. If it was me, I would do the front squat prior to the log, because you prime your rack position and then you open up your you open up your ankles barefoot, get good foot control and foot activation, and then you go on your Olympic shoe and do your log. That's how I would do it if I was you. Hopefully that helps. 2 questions. When you look back on your own career as an athlete and as a coach, what's something you wish you'd known earlier? From Harvey. Well, Mr. Harvey, I wish I started smoking weed earlier for a whole host of reasons. Recovery, that switch back into my parasympathetic state, sleep, helps my digestion, a lot of things. For me, mental focus, clarity, being able to remember and retain information properly once reading it. If I'm high and I read a page of a book, I can pretty much tell you the page off by heart, like got like a picture image of it, like a photographic image of it. Whereas if I read a page of a book and I'm not high, sometimes I don't know what the hell I've read. So weed made a big difference to my life. So I'd probably tell myself to start smoking weed. What's next? Mr. Hippie Crap, Phil. Has the Whoop changed any habits? My Whoop, get a Whoop, guys, they're absolutely class. Yes, it has changed a lot of habits. It made me accountable for my rest times in training because it tells you your strain. It calls it your strain. So I was noticing that my strain was low during sessions, and I would notice that my heart rate would go really high, and I'd be sustaining a decent heart rate, and then it would kind of drop. And I noticed that it was when I went on my phone. So what Whoop, one of the main changes Whoop made for me is it made me make sure that I turn my phone. Well, I don't turn it off, but I usually put it like to the side in Body Evo now. I kind of took it away. There's this little corner where I put a charger sometimes. I just stick it in that corner, or I just keep it on silent and don't even look at my phone. So it basically made me realise that I wasn't training hard enough because I was on my phone. Because kind of what I said at the start of the video, guys, answering fucking DMs and stuff. Like sometimes I'm in the middle of training and I check my phone and I hate having notifications. So I'll end up replying and answering questions while I'm mid-session. And it was ruining my sessions, but I didn't realise how much it was ruining it until I had a physical graph to show me. So that was really good. Yeah, I enjoyed that. Best physio sports recovery in Lancaster and Morecambe area. I don't know, to be honest. Ollie House was good. Ollie House is now working out at CrossFit Lancaster. I believe he closed his actual place that he had in Botany Sands. I don't know how many hours or days he works at CrossFit. No, not CrossFit Lancaster. CrossFit Heysham, sorry. CrossFit Heysham is out of now. I don't know how many hours, but Ollie's really good. I've heard Kai's really good as well, but I never used Kai, so I can't actually say, but I've heard good things. Other than that, I don't really think of it off the top of my head. It's Mr. Strength Forge, Mr. John Mellon. Not sure if it's going to be too general, but losing footing on the log during the press, i.e. drifting too far onto the heels or shifting onto the toes, etc. Would you say it's down to a specific weakness or positional issue in the front rack? So I'm assuming that you mean on the dip here, or maybe just in rack, during the press, sorry. Losing footing on the rack during the press. Main thing here, people push the log forward, to be honest with you. Real common issue is the log goes forward, it doesn't go directly up. You need to remember with a log, you need to stay leant back longer. Let me look at your log. Let me just go on this log. There's a lot of deadlift videos here, mate. Not a lot of log. This is a strict log. A little different. That's not a... Right, Mr. John, I have scrolled your Instagram and I cannot find one log push press video. So there's your first issue. Get more log presses on your Instagram. No, I would say it's down to the... It'd be down to the dip. It'd be down to the dip, always. The rack and the dip, yeah. Usually people push a log slightly forward. So if you're going onto your toes, mainly, or stepping forward, that's the most common one I see is people press the log and they step forward. Boom, you can't see it, I was stepping my foot, you can't see it, but the pressing and the foot goes bang to gain balance. So they're like this and they go bang, and they gain balance, maybe they do a couple of steps forward. Not often do people go back. I don't think stepping back is a problem, personally. If you push the log slightly back, and obviously if you're losing it behind you or something, that's an issue, but if you're, as you extend through your hips and ankles, if you extend and you jump back a little tiny bit, I don't personally think that's an issue. If you're obviously losing footing backwards, that can be, but if you're actually jumping back, it's not really an issue. So the most common problem I see is stepping forward, and that's just because the dip isn't vertical, basically. So yeah. Quick sessions, why are you so strong? I had no life from 18 to 24, mate. I just trained, that's pretty much why. Great job on the new content. Great to see you driving the sport forward. Thank you, mate. When you get round to it, do a video around GH, your experience, role with strength athletes, which would be cool. A lot of info bodybuilding. Yeah, I will. I'll answer that in a separate video. It's quite a long one. I have been utilising GH now for about 6 months, maybe, roughly that long. So I've got some pretty decent experience with it. I'm very experienced with using everything apart from GH. I have used GH in the past, but I've never committed to it for a couple of months. Well, 6 months there. I've kind of run it for 2 months here and there. So I didn't really have such a good experience with it. Plus, back then I had no money, so I had to use shit stuff at a very low dose. I've been using Pharma grade GH for a little while now, and yeah, I've got some opinions on it, so I will make a video on that for definite. Are the t-shirts coming back? Is the next question. Yes, I 100% want the t-shirts to come back. We're having a lot of issues with it. I'll be honest with you guys, I'm doing a lot of stuff at the moment, but we're really trying to push the business and we're really trying to push stuff into the sport. I got an app coming for MSTbot that we're working on. We're doing up the website to change the way we do programming. We're no longer going to be offering monthly subscriptions on the programming. We're going to be doing block sales, so that if people want to book, say if people want to book 8 weeks with us for a certain competition, they can do. We're going to be going away from monthly bookings, so we're changing all that. We're doing the YouTube, we're going to be traveling around to comps and stuff, so we've got a lot on at the moment. So I'll be honest with you, the t-shirts are one of the things that are on, but I'll be honest with you, we're just being a bit, well, it's not that we're being crap with it, we just got a lot on and I'm not being as good as I should be, basically. I need to try harder. Tom Lloyd, jerking a log. That isn't much of a question, mate, but yes, you can jerk a log. That is possible. I've got a few obscure questions about your video on fasting due to my career. Right, let me just go on this DMs. Let me see this. Oh yeah, Mr. Gordon McGuinness asked this. This wasn't an obscure question at all. And I got a lot of fasting questions. This one might help people. So, I'm a firefighter. I want to implement fasting. I'm wondering how you would do it with shift work. Work 8 till 6 for 2 days, then 6 till 8 for 2 nights. So, basically, Gordon, with intermittent fasting, you don't really need to. One of the big problems that people. Right, for starters, right, let's go over why do you want to do intermittent fasting. The main benefit to intermittent fasting is the control of your hunger and your mental focus. When you're in a fasted state, you will be quite focused, have quite good energy, very stable energy, and you feel good. And you'll be able to take on cognitive tasks better. So if you're doing any sat down work, if you're a firefighter and you're doing kind of physical work, obviously I know firefighting, obviously I'm assuming that, you're going to be sat around doing training and stuff most of the day, and then you're gonna get the odd call out maybe a couple of times a week or whatever. So it's not as if you're like constantly out on the job, is it? But I do know that you'll do the what's it called, where you run with hoses and roll them out and all that stuff. You do, it's the physical job anyway. So I wouldn't really want to be doing that in a fasted state personally, because well, maybe not all the time. If I was on an early shift, I wouldn't mind fasting. But again, this is what I mean. I'm giving you my opinion there. What I should be saying is, you need to just judge off how you feel. So just jump in, mate. Try a fast. Set yourself a goal of I want to eat between these hours and plan your macros out and try it. And if you think to yourself, you know what, I felt a bit lethargic while I was doing this certain thing on this certain shift, then you know not to do that. Add some food in or change something or whatever. Or you might find that you feel really good fasting, and you might find that you perform better in a fasted state. Some people do. Everyone's a little different with fasting. Like, if fasting's not this amazing miracle cure, some people are going to get on with it, some people aren't. I really get on with it. My hunger goes right down. I'm able to feel energized. I'm able to feel real stable. I'm able to crack on and do stuff. So for me, it works really well. So if you want to implement it, you just need to jump in head first, try it and figure it out, because what you might find is, on Monday, Tuesday, this is my shift, so I'm going to do these eating hours. This is best for these days. And then on this day and this day, where I'm on the later shifts, I'm going to do these eating hours. And then on my rest days, I'm going to do different ones. So intermittent fasting doesn't have to be like cornered into a little box and be like, you have to eat between 12 and 6 every single day. Change it every single day, mate. Some days you might have a pretty normal eating schedule where you eat all day. The next day you might only eat for 4 hours. Then the next day you might eat for 8 hours. Then the day after that you might fast for 24 hours. And then you might do one big meal at night. And then the next day you might eat all day again. You know what I mean? If you're trying to lose weight and perform well, what you need to do is remember that it's your weekly calories that matter. So if you're able to use intermittent fasting to perform well in your job and your training, and then maybe fast a little more on your rest days, you're going to get that weekly calorie deficit nice and easy. So I know that wasn't a really straight to the point answer, but realistically, there's no rule to it. You need to kind of figure it out for yourself. So you just need to jump straight back in. Like I say, it's not going to kill you. If you get hungry, eat something. Sweet. Mikey, heard on your podcast you were talking about revamping MSTbot. Is this still happening? Yes, mate. It's been in the pipeline for the last 2 months. We're working on it. We've got a February release date penciled in. may or may not hit that date, but you know, yes, we've invested a lot in this app. I really do think it's going to change the game for strongman. Yeah, the app's going to be a massive upgrade from MST-Bot currently. It does have a lot of flaws, MST-Bot, because you know, it's run through TrueCoach, so it's kind of, we've got to work what we've got. Anyway, Shane Hurley, my core completely locks up on hollow holds. 1 out of 3 times doing them. At first I thought it was just a weak core, but it's not for a lack of persevering. 1 week I'll hold them for several sets of a minute, and another week it will totally lock up after 20 seconds. Any ideas? It's fucking horrendous. Forgot to add, I've been doing them for over a year now and programmed them with small increases for time sets over the weeks. Well, the first thing I'll say is you don't need to do hollow holds. So I would pick a different core exercise. And one thing I will say is something that I've noticed over the years is some people just naturally have a really low work capacity in their abdominals, and it's quite strange because they're very specific to what they're doing as well, because obviously that's an isometric contraction is a hollow hold. So I found that over the years I've seen people with really, you know, quite efficient concentric eccentric strength, so they might be able to do loads and loads of sit-ups, or maybe loads of GHD sit-ups, or knee raises, leg raises, or whatever, but then you give them an L sit, or you give them a hollow hold, hollow rock or something, and yeah, their abs kind of hit the limit of their work capacity and they just start locking up. The first thing that I'm assuming you already looked at is hydration. That can cause cramps, but cramps are mainly neurological as well, and they're mainly from, they're usually just from a low work capacity in a muscle, and sometimes people just genetically have a low work capacity in the ab. So what I would say is, if you ever get to the stage where you're cramping, then you may have taken the muscle past its kind of threshold. So what I would do is, for your core, I would separate into three different stimulus. So I would do rotational core strength, which you could actually put anti-rotational in there as well. So there you could do like wood choppers and some pull-off press, just anti-rotational holds with a band, just, you know, resisting the rotation. And then you could do that. That often will be something that you'll be able to push a little harder if you're struggling with the hollow holds. You could then do your concentric eccentric work, so use GHD sit-ups or sit-ups holding a load behind your head, or knee raises, and then I would throw isometrics in at the end. I think that isometric core work is the least beneficial for a strength athlete, because you're getting most of your isometric work when you're doing your deadlifts, when you're doing your squats, etc., yoke, whatever it is. So I would focus more on your rotational, your anti-rotational, and your concentric eccentric, and I'll put your isometric core at the back of the pack, and find exercises and movement patterns that you feel you could put more work in. And remember, as a strength athlete, you want to be able to progress load, and that's why hollow rocks are great, but I actually program hollow rocks for hip flexor health, not for core. So if you wanna get a stronger core, do something where you can progress load. GHD sit-ups are easy, because GHD sit-ups you can just start holding a plate behind your head, and I've got some athletes that hold fucking 15 kilo plates behind their head and they do like sets of 20, so you can get strong at them. Right, moving on. If you were the boss of Pure Gym, what would I change? To be honest, mate, I'm a bit of a weird one, because I think Pure Gym's alright. I think it's class. It's got everything. It's got everything and it makes a lot of money. So if I was the boss, I'd be pretty fucking happy. I wouldn't change shit. I'm not one of these commercial gym bashers. I won Britain's Strongest Man under 80 training in a room probably the size of my living room, full of machines and old ladies on cross trainers. Yeah, I on crap bars, crap plates, you know. And I won Britain's under 80, and I still back then I believe I'm probably the strongest under 80 strongman ever back then. It's just that no one cared about it back then. It didn't matter. But if you look at my old videos that I used to do at under 80, I was an absolute savage. And I did that in a commercial gym with no kit, so I don't think they really need to change. If I didn't want to train there, I would train somewhere else. I wouldn't try and change the gym, because it's a good business. Anyway, optimal way to build chest if your shoulders take over in every movement, such as bench and flies. I would say that you've probably got poor mind muscle connection, and that's probably your issue there. A lot of people have a poor connection with their chest. The best way to do this would be to actually learn to contract your chest properly and do that isometrically prior to your flies. So if I was teaching somebody to train their chest, if they were doing flies and they could just feel their anterior delt, for example, what I would get them to do is just get the cable machine with a tiny bit of load and bring their hands together, and I just get them to squeeze the chest for about 30 to 40 seconds. Now we can take that chest to near enough isometric failure, And then rest about 30-40 seconds, go into a set of flies, making sure we spend more time here, okay? So on your flies, people spend too much time down here. And oftentimes they'll only fly to here, and you can see from my chest straight away, there's not that big a contraction, where as soon as I go here and squeeze right now, I'm feeling that right now. I've not even got any weight and I'm feeling that. I'm feeling the blood rush to it, and I'm feeling it contract hard. So I would say if you're struggling to feel your chest, you need to spend more time actually contracting it, and you don't need any range of motion to do that. You just need your brain. So literally here, squeeze, tiny bit of load just to give you something, and just squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Get it working, get it firing, get those signals, get those neurological pathways open so that you can feel your chest. And then when you're on your flies, nobody can't feel the chest on flies. You just need to adjust your position. So maybe you need to supinate more, yeah? Maybe you need to drop the cable down low, and maybe you'll feel it more when you're coming up in this movement pattern. Maybe you'll feel it when you lean over more. You know what I mean? There's many ways to basically maneuver yourself and your body around a movement pattern to feel a muscle work. But the first key is to actually be able to work it and train it with nothing, just you. Because like I say, you can contract your chest hard. You can give yourself DOMs from just contracting your chest. So start with that and then add that into your training. Could you do a video on natty training versus enhanced training and how someone will train differently depending on whether they're taking PEDs or not? I personally think that there isn't much difference to natural training and PED training. The only difference would be the deloads, in my opinion. The guy on PEDs could probably go a touch longer before deloading. But here's the interesting thing about this is most guys on PEDs are stronger than naturals. So if you've got a guy on PEDs who pulls 400 kilos, he'll probably need to deload more than someone who's natural that pulls like 250 kilos, for example, just because the neurological demand on the weight is so much higher in the guy on PEDs. It doesn't matter that he's got all these, because you've got to remember that PEDs will help you recover physiologically, so they'll help your muscles repair quicker, etc. But they're not going to help that neurological fatigue that you get. If anything, it's actually higher in PED athletes because they're lifting more weight, you know what I mean? Well, they should be anyway, you know what I mean? So yeah, there's not too much difference, it's just the recovery, but the recovery is often misunderstood as well. If somebody's of even strength, then obviously the PED guy will recover better, but you know, oftentimes the enhanced guys don't recover as well because they lift more weight. How do I prevent getting very lightheaded on stones and log? By Jared. This is an interesting subject. This is something I've researched a lot, and I still don't know the answer. Yeah, I don't know the answer to this one. Maybe not the stones one, but the log one, going lightheaded and passing out on log, I've researched that a lot. I'm still trying to figure this out. There's a million different things it could be, which is the reason why it's really hard to answer. Even down from pelvis position, you know, pelvis position can affect blood flow to the head. Neck position, obviously being in full extension. I think it could be genetic. I think it could be genetic as to the people that suffer from it. I think it could be the way the arteries or veins go, and when they get in the position to log, that it shuts something off to the head, because it's not like it's subtle in some people. Some people just go off, almost like they've been choked in BJJ. It's almost like the blood flow just stops. So I really don't know the answer to that. The one thing that I found that consistently helps is raising blood pressure and taking salts. So raising your blood pressure prior to the log. So yeah, literally just tensing, mate, and just raise your blood pressure to your head, and then have some salts. Sounds strange. I have no idea why that works, but that seems to be the most common fix for it. And yeah, the reason why it happens, it could be so many things that I don't know. I wish I knew. Full body programming for limited days and timings, sometimes as little as 2 days per week, but still want to get the work done. Yeah, just bang it all together, mate. Just bang your weekly workload into 2 sessions. That's all I would do if it was me. I wouldn't worry about overtraining on the day, because you're going to have quite a few days to recover if you're only training 2 days a week. What would you recommend the best exercises to strengthen the bicep 3 months post distal bicep surgery? From Kev. Look at Kevin McGregor. Well, Kev, if I was 3 months post bicep surgery, I would be focusing on isometrics. If it was me, and eccentrics, I would do my eccentric loading first of all, and then I'll progress into isometrics. So the way I would do that is I would attack it from a couple of different angles. I would use an incline dumbbell bicep curl first of all. I'd probably train it like 3 days a week, and I would do 1 bicep isolation exercise a day. And I would start with incline dumbbell bicep curls. I would do reverse axle curls, and I would probably just do something like a preacher curl, a cable preacher curl as well. And I would use eccentrics as my main driver for the first 3 to 4 weeks, and then I would use isometrics afterwards. So I would be doing real slow controlled eccentric. I mean, you don't have to complicate it, mate. You could literally just do 3 or 4 sets of 10, but just like extreme, you know, not too hard on the concentric so the load is limited, but then just really controlling the eccentric. And then I would work into eccentric isometrics, which is where you would curl up and I would slowly go down until I was about halfway and just hold there for like 3 to 5 seconds every rep. So that's how I would progress it. And I would use the 3 different movement patterns just so we're kind of I'm assuming you're a strongman, so it's just so that when we go back into strongman, if you do like if you do an axle clean, for example, we've been doing some reverse axle curls to at least strengthen that position, because although the axle clean comes from the hips and positions, there's always some bicep involved, so it just kind of gives that specific movement to it. And then the cable curl, I find, gives me the best time under tension, and the incline dumbbell bicep curl gives me the biggest stretch at the bottom, because I'm able to let the hand come back past my hips. So that's why I would use those, because I feel that those 3 would strengthen it the most. Smokey Joe's Gym. Now then, Shane, what's your log press part 4? I used to use the elbows tuck cue. Still struggling to make and include extension of the ankle in the clean. Find my hips doing the majority of the work. Any drills to try and promote extension of the ankles. I would get yourself doing some log power cleans and also jumps, mate. I would be getting yourself used to being on your ankle, used to being explosive. You can even do some hops. But for me, log power cleans are really underutilized movement pattern on the log. I often add in, for my guys, a flow day, I call it. And my favorite kind of complex is 1 power clean, 2 strict press, and then 1 Viper press, 2 strict press. So it's quite a light load, but the Viper press allows you to focus on that speed through the clean. And if you get your ankle extension on that, you will have a much better press. And the power clean as well just kind of naturally flows into that ankle extension. So I would literally add, log power clean and log Viper press. That's what I do. Mr. Tyrone, how did I become a strength coach? Watch my strength coach video, mate. I've made a video on that specifically. Tips on getting stronger on yoke walk. Accessories to help also. The big thing on yoke is people don't train it that much, mate. You don't really need any accessories. You don't really need any magic fix. You just need to do more yoke. If you're struggling with it and you don't know how to program it, here's a little bit of an idea to open your brain a little bit. So don't be scared of running like a 100 kilo yoke for 300 to 500 meters. Don't be scared of doing yoke 2 or 3 times a week. Don't be scared of undulating the weight so that one day you do extremely lightweight for distance, the next day you might do medium weight with a time goal. So maybe it's 5 sets, 20 meters that all have to be under 12 seconds, for example. And then you just kind of try and use more, sorry, my dog's bloody right next to me. Try to use more weight for the 12 seconds every single week. And then you can have a really heavy day as well, which maybe you kind of alternate weeks on that. Maybe you go really heavy one day for 10 meters, and then you'll drop 30% off it and do 5 sets of 10. You know, you can spread your yoke out 3 days a week, basically, if you really wanted to hammer it. Obviously, you don't have to do that. I'm just saying that there are options there. So instead of thinking, what can I add in to get better at yoke, think, where can I add more yoke in? If you really want to focus on it. How to structure a training program for a strongman for those with limited training time, novice inters level. Example, I can do 3 days per week for 1.5 hours per session. Most programs I see tend to be 3 to 4 barbell based days, squat, press, deadlift, accessories with just single events day. Find it hard to fit in the big barbell lifts, respective accessories, and then all the events on top, given the current available training time. I can access strongman equipment each workout though. That is a good question, mate. A really good question, actually. I'm going to give you a like on that one. So, I would say, Simon, I'm assuming you call Simon because you call side.g.84. I would say, Si, if it was me, mate, I would be doing, I think you're already thinking the right answer and maybe just need to push in that direction, but I would be splitting it on priorities, mate. So I would prioritise you. I would look at like, but it just depends. So if you're going to be competing, novice inters level, look at your last competition you did, look at where you stood in the placings, and look at what your weakest events are. Write a list. What is my weakest event? And tally them down, all right, mate? Tally them down, okay? Then, Accessories, remember the name accessory they're there as an accessory. These are the fundamentals, the lifts that are the weeks are the fundamentals. So let's structure your training week first of all. So let's say your weak area is log and grip. So you're not too good at log, you're not too good at farmers. We need to fit them in to the training week as priorities. So I would put log on day 1, farmers on day 2, and then maybe, let's say you were bad, just pressing in general. Maybe put axle on day 3. So you got press, farmers, axle. So press, farmers, press basically. Now, maybe deadlift is another weak area. So where can we slot this in? Right, well, it fits nicely before farmers. We can hit dead and we can hit farmers as priorities. Then you might be like, right, yoke is another one that I need to work on, and front carries. So we put yoke behind axle and we put front carry behind log. So we've got log and front carry, and then we've got dead farmers, and we've got press and fucking yoke, whatever it was, whatever I said. Can't remember. But what I'm trying to say, mate, is structure like that. And then if you think to yourself, right, I've got a bit of time, do those first of all, just do that session. Then you go, right, I've got half an hour on each day, because this took me an hour. So what do I need to work on the most now? Well, maybe you know that if you don't do your shoulder accessories, you get dodgy shoulders. So let's throw some shoulder accessories in on one day. And then maybe you decide that you want to put Atlas stones on another day. And then maybe you like to do bent over rows because you think you need a bigger back to help you deadlift. Throw them in there. Notice I've not put a squat in there. If squat doesn't fit your structure, if you've not got much time, don't think you've got to dedicate a lot of time to squatting, because it is beneficial as an athlete, definitely. But I would say that if you could pick yoke or squat, pick yoke. So yeah, that's kind of how I would do it, mate, is I would literally just list it in, I made a shit example there, but I'll list it in priority of your weaknesses, where you need to improve to get better in competition, and then I would spread that out first of all, and then if I could add any accessories in, I would. But I would skip the accessories, I would skip the squat, stick to the fundamentals first, and then drip them in. Best accessory to improve deadlift and grip. Grip, I would say, genuinely the best accessory is a passive hang. It's so easy. It's so simple. It's just it's just so easy, mate. And if you're a lighter weight athlete, a single arm passive hang, just hang from some stuff, your grip will go mad. Best accessory for deadlift, stiff leg deadlifts, touch and go. In my opinion, if I had to pick one, there isn't. I mean, technically the answer is whatever your weakness is, but if I had to pick one, I'd say stiff leg deadlift, touch and go. Most people have weak hamstring and glutes, so it just isolates them. When it comes to fasting, if I only have a few meals and a post-workout shake, how does it work with meeting my protein target of the day? 200 grams. Is it okay to eat as much as 80 grams of protein in one meal? Yes, my friend, it is completely fine to eat that much food in one sitting. It is going to be a little individual though, mate, because everybody's digestion is going to be a little different. But a lot of people really overcomplicate how hard it is to get, 200 grams of protein in, for example. And whenever I have this question a lot, and whenever I tell people it, as soon as I give them an example, they're like, oh, it's not much really, is it? Like, here's how you get 200 protein in, mate. And in a nice way as well. 3 chicken breasts, okay? Now, your average chicken breast, people seem to think that there's like 20, 30 protein in a chicken breast. There's 30 grams of protein in a chicken breast per 100 grams. Now, most chicken breasts that you get are going to be roughly 150 to 200 grams, usually around the 150 mark, which means that there's 45 grams of protein per chicken breast. So if you have 3 chicken breasts, you're talking 135 protein just there in 3 chicken breasts. That isn't a lot of food. Now, you suddenly make it into a meal, like you cut them open, put a bit of cheese inside, and then wrap them in bacon, cook them, bit of barbecue sauce, Hunter's chicken. You're talking, you could get an extra 15 protein from the bacon and 15 protein from the cheese. So you're talking 165 protein just from that. And then you have some carbs with it, big meal. Yeah, it's a big meal, it's a big feed. But you've pretty much done it there. You have a protein shake, you've hit 200 grams. It really isn't that hard to get 200 grams of protein in. Yes, you can eat it in one sitting. Yes, everyone's digestion is going to be a little different, but as long as you feel all right with it. I mean, most people will eat 1 or 2 chicken breasts in a meal anyway. It's not really, you wouldn't think of it as something crazy, would you? If somebody gave you 2 chicken breasts, you'd just be like, oh, it's 2 chicken breasts. So yeah, that's all I would do, mate. I know it's been a bit of a longer video, but I managed to get through all the questions. Thanks for listening if you got this far. subscribe to the channel. We're going to get some more videos out, guys. Thursday, we're going to go to competition soon as well. So yeah, hit the sub button. I'll see you next time.